Hi all, welcome to Miss Osborne's Homework Helper. This week we have two sheets. The first one kind of looks like this. It has least common multiples, it's addition and subtraction of fractions, and there's even some mixed numbers in there. So I'm going to talk to you guys how to solve them. And the nice thing about this one is it has the least common multiples right up here, and it also has an answer bank, so you can always double check your work. So we'll be going through that one. The second sheet we have here has visuals. This is adding and subtracting fractions again, and there's some visuals to help you visualize your answers. So I'm going to be going over this as well, a couple problems from here. So let's go ahead and start. I recommend starting with this page right here. I'm going to be working on number 1. Okay. So I always want to use my scratch paper because I find that this really isn't enough room for me to show my work. So it's okay if you want to staple scratch paper to it or give me scratch paper along with your homework. I think that's great. So I'm starting with number 1. Number 1, it has a least common multiple of 18. That means your denominator is going to be 18. So I see that it's a mixed number, 2 1/9, subtracted by 7/6. Ooh, that's improper. I already can see that's going to kind of be an issue. So I have this set up just like number 1 on the paper. Okay. So I guess the first thing I need to do is I need to make my denominators the same. Okay, so it already tells me my denominator is going to be 18, so I'm going to rewrite the problem. 2 1/18 minus 7/18. But if I change the denominator, I know that my numerator has to change. So what was the multiple from 1/9 from 9 that got me to 18? That would be 2. So I multiply the top and the bottom by the same number. Do to the top what you do to the bottom. So I know that I need to come down here, multiply that by the numerator by 2 because my bottom's already multiplied by 2. And how did I get from 6 to 18? 6 times 2 is 12, so 6 times 3 is 18. So I know that I need to multiply my top by 3 because the denominator was multiplied by 3. So now I have a problem that looks like this. Okay, so I can keep my whole number the same. And I'm rewriting every single step just so I can be clear what I'm showing you all. You don't have to rewrite every step, but please show me your work, including the multiples. So I know that my whole number doesn't change, but 1 times 2 is 2, and my 18 stays the same, subtracted by the numerator, 7 multiplied by 3. 7 times 3 is 21 over 18. That second fraction is still improper. So this is the work that I have so far. Okay, so now it's time for me to really do some work. I know, looking at this fraction, I can't take 2, or I can't take 21 from 2. That's not going to work. So I need to do something. I need to borrow from my whole number. So how we borrow from the whole number is we cross it out. We write 1 less up above it, just like borrowing from subtraction. And then 18/18 is the whole. So I know that I need to add 18 to this top number because if 18 over 18 equals 1 whole. So I need to add that 18 because I borrowed the whole. So then it's going to look like that. Okay, so I'm going to come down here and I'm going to write my problem again. I really want to be clear about how I'm borrowing and how I'm multiplying with these fractions. So my new whole number is 1. Then I go 2 plus 18 is 20. Still the denominator is the same. Denominator is 18. I didn't do anything to the second fraction. It's 21 over 18. Okay, I still am having problems here. The problem is that my number here in the numerator is larger than this numerator. I still can't do that process. I can't take 21 from 20. There's not enough. So I need to borrow against my whole number again. So I'm going to remind you of this right here. 18th equals 1 whole. So if I take away this 1, I have 0 wholes left. But I need to add the 18 that I borrowed from the whole number to my numerator right there. Okay, so I'm not doing anything to the second fraction, but I'm adding to the top of my numerator. Okay, I'm going to do that work. 20 plus 18 is 38 18ths. Subtracting 21 18ths because I did not touch that second fraction. Okay, there's my new problem up to this point. Okay. Now I can finally get to my process of subtracting. Okay, 38 minus 21. So 8 from 1 is 7, and 3 from 2 is 1. So I have 17. And I bring my denominator straight across. So that's 18. So the answer to number 1 is 17/18. Wow, that was a lot of work. I mean, look at all that work that we did to answer that one problem. But you can all do it. You all have the skills too. Okay, so we're going to work on number 2 now. Number 2, off this same sheet with the bank up top. Ooh, I should double check. Okay, I got 17/18. Is that one of the answers up top? Does anybody see that? 17/18? I sure do. See it right over here. So to remind myself I already used that answer, I'm going to just cross it out. Feels so good to cross things out as you do them. Okay, number 2 off this sheet is least common multiple of 12. 2/3 plus 2/4. Okay, these are common fractions we work with. So let's go ahead and rewrite that problem on our scratch paper. I'm going to fold my paper so it's not distracting. Okay. Number 2. Least common multiple is 12. I already know my denominator is going to be changing to 12. So 2/3 plus 2/4 equals. I just rewrote that problem on my scratch paper. You can see I'm using my recycled paper from glass. Okay, so I know I'm going to have to change the denominators to 12. But my question is, how did I get to 12? What did I multiply? What did I do? So remember, you're going to do to the top what you do to the bottom as far as multipliers and division with making these fractions have the same denominator. So when I look at the problem, I see right here, I see 3. How do you get from 3 to 12? You multiply by 4. So I also need to do that to the top. I'm going to just write that down really quick and show you. 4 times 4. Multiply by 4. So now what's 2 times 4? That's 8. We already know that 3 times 4 is 12. We need to do it to the next one. How did I get from 4 to 12? Multiplied by 3. interesting that it's like kind of the same as the first fraction we worked with. So right here, you can see I'm multiplying my denominator and my numerator. I already have 12 as my numerator, so 2 times 3 on the top is 6. So my new problem looks just like that. 8/12 plus 6/12. Put my equal sign in there. So I'm going to go ahead and add these straight across and see what happens. Adding the numerator straight across. 8 plus 6 is 14. My denominator comes straight across. 14/12. Oh, that makes me really unhappy. That's an improper fraction. We need to make that into a mixed number. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it down the bottom, and then let's talk about how we take an improper fraction to a mixed number. Okay, when we're working with these improper fractions, we have to take them to a mixed number. We have to look at how many times the denominator evenly goes into the numerator. How many times does 12 evenly go into 14? Only one time. So I'm going to go ahead and write that one whole number down. 1 times 12 is 12. So now I need to know how many are left over. How many are left over? How many were unsatisfied by that change made there? So 14, I can do that math by taking my numerator subtracted by my denominator. So 14 subtracted by minus 12 is 2 left over. And that gives me 2 right there as my numerator. My denominator, you guys know, we bring it right over. So my answer would then be 1 and 2/12. And guess what? That's one of the answers in our number bank. Do you guys see it? It's right here. So I can know that's a way to self-check my work. 1 and 2/12 is an answer right here. You could also simplify this work because we know 2 and 12, they have some numbers that go into each other. So 1 and 2/12 is correct, but if you want to simplify your work, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that. So we know that 2 and 12, what is their common multiplier? The easiest one right off the bat is 2. So if I wanted to simplify, I would keep my whole number as 1. 2 goes into 2 how many times? 1 time. 2 goes into 12 how many times? 6 times. So if you want to simplify your work, that's how you can do it. Okay? Wow. Okay, 13 minutes on 2 problems on 1 worksheet. Okay, so the rest of these, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 left, okay, that you can do. Please use scratch paper. It'll help you keep your work nice and neat, and it'll give you the space you need. As you guys know, I write very large. I like to see all my work. I encourage you to do the same. So let's work on the next problem here. Okay. The next worksheet looks like this. This has some nice visuals to help you visualize what the fractions actually look like. Okay, the first problem. Number 1 is 2/7 minus 1/9. The first thing we have to do is we have to make our denominators the same. We can't do any work until that's done. So I'm having some problems thinking of what would be the common multiplier for 7 and 9. Ooh, and that's not a pretty pairing right there. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to multiply them against each other. So 7 times 9, and the top 2 times 9. The bottom 9 times 7, and the top 1 times 7. So see how I multiplied them against themselves? So I took 7, multiplied against 9 on the top and the bottom, and then I took 9, multiplied against 7 and 2. So I'm going to go ahead and do that work. 2 times 9 is 18. 7 times 9 is 63. That's the first fraction. The next fraction, 1 times 7 is 7. 9 times 7 is 63. And just like that, I have denominators that are the same and some easier numbers to work with. Now I need to subtract straight across my numerators. 18 minus 7 is 11. And the denominators, you bring that right over 63. So that's going to be your answer. That wasn't a super pretty 6, sorry. 11/63 is your answer. Let's try another together. I'm going to try it further down on my paper. Hold my paper. Okay, number 2. We're working on this problem right here. This should look familiar to some other problems we've done before, some things we've worked on. Okay, so that's 2/4 plus 1/5. Oh, these are much prettier numbers to me, the smaller numbers. Way easier for my brain to wrap around. So I'm trying to think of numbers that my denominators right here could go into. Can't really think any. I know 5 is 5, 10, 15, 20. And I know that 4 goes into 20, so maybe that would be a place for me to start. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply this numerator and denominator by 5, and this numerator and denominator by 4, because that'll give me 20 on the bottom for each one. That'll make the denominator the same. So times 5 times 5 times 4 times 4. Okay, so now my problem would look like that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that work. It's really important to know your multiplication facts quickly with this, or it's going to take you so long to draw out all the answers. Really focus and practice with multiplication facts. 2 times 5 is 10. 4 times 5 is 20. Okay, so that 2/4 becomes 10/20. Plus 1 times 4 is 4. 5 times 4 is 20. So then 1/5 becomes 4/20. Wow, aren't those nice numbers to work with? Okay, so now we're going to add across our numerators. 10 plus 4 is 14. And the denominator, we bring it straight across. It's 20. 14/20. That's the answer we got. However, we could simplify this very easily with the number 2. 14 divided by 2 is 7. 20 divided by 2 is 10. It's an equivalent fraction. 14/20 is equivalent to 7/10. Either answer is correct, but this is the simplified version. Eventually, we want to all get to this version. I hope this was helpful for you guys. I'm going to be getting a different kind of setup for my phone, so it sets up above me, so you can look down on my work as I'm doing it, so I don't have to hold it up as much. But I hope that this was helpful. I would appreciate any feedback, any suggestions you guys have for me, students or parents, or anything you want to see. You want to see me work any problems during the week, please let me know. Again, there's 2 pages of homework this week. This addition and subtraction of fractions right here with the number bank at the top and the least common multiples for each problem. And there's this one right here with the visuals for addition and subtraction of fractions. Okay, have a lovely week. Thank you guys for watching and